All right. Welcome everybody to the Glaziar Gambol. Welcome everybody back to the Glaziar Gambol podcast. This is episode 70 something. We lost count because there's so many episodes and so much good content there available for you. And we are here today to play a game. We're going to start with the game and then we're going to talk about some Vikings talk later. I feel like I'm trying to talk about something, but we're going to play a game. Joe's going to
200 on.
Joe's gonna explain the rules of the game, and then we're gonna start that. We're gonna play it, and then after we play that game, we are gonna talk about the Minnesota Vikings because, as everybody knows, they did lose. So if you're here just for the game, watch the game, and if you're here for Vikings talk, stick around.
All right, so I've seen this a couple other places: TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. And essentially it's called an anti-draft. It's we're each gonna draft three things from a topic. But the thing is, I know what the topic is, and the viewer is gonna know what the topic is, but you don't. So you're gonna have to kind of think about
you being me.
Yeah. You're gonna have to think about what I said.
Okay.
And kind of base it off of that and hope it's right. And then you'll be able to pick what my second thing is and kind of get a different idea. And then after those three, we each pick three things. You're gonna guess what the topic was, and then I'll tell you if you're right or not. All right. So
okay.
I got two topics here. So if you could shield your eyes, I'm gonna hold this up to the screen. So all right, topic one is this. It's backwards to me, so I hope that everyone can read it. Now this will be topic two, but I'll show that too. All right. So. Ready. So I'm just thinking about. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So I've been thinking about this kind of because I thought about the what I wanted to draft prior. So I'm gonna take jelly beans. Okay. So I'm gonna take jelly beans first.
What I'm thinking here, jelly beans could be sweets, candies.
Mm-hmm.
Could be Easter specific, coming up, I don't know if you're like, I don't think it's Easter, just unless you've got these from like a generated topics list.
No, I thought of these myself.
Okay, so I don't think it's Easter, just I feel like knowing
you know me. Okay.
But sweets are candy, especially like if it was like assorted candy, like assorted flavor candies. So I'm gonna go Skittles.
Okay, that is actually good. That's pretty good. I might throw you for a loop here. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna throw you through a loop. I'm gonna go with a pencil.
Oh God. Okay, so now I'm thinking stuff you would bring to like first day of school or like just like things you would have in your backpack.
Okay.
That's why now that's where I'm thinking because you would have candy. But if we stuck with the original, like the gut feeling of assorted candies, pencil doesn't really fit. Right. But you also, like you said, you might be throwing me off.
It's still everything I've said still is with the topic, though.
Right? Is it? So do I?
What's your?
I feel like I want to get more specific than like first day of school or backpack. I'm gonna go a notebook.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I mean, that'd be tough. It'd be tough.
All right.
My third one, I think, I'm gonna go with. I'm acting like I'm thinking, but I already know what my thing is. I'm just acting like I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a. I'm gonna go with your finger.
Okay. I don't know if other people have said this that have done these types of things. This just makes me feel the person on my side just feels like an idiot. I'm
gonna go with. Yeah, your finger, yeah.
A finger. Is this things you can fit up your ass?
Oh, no.
Because like, okay, jelly beans, pencil, and when I said notebook, that might be tough. And then you went with a finger. So it's like, oh, it's okay. Maybe things up your nose. Something you could put up your nose. So Tic Tacs.
Yeah, okay. All right. Those are all good. I'd say two of your three definitely fit. And yeah. Let's block it off here. You can't read it because it's backwards, or it'll be backwards view. But things you don't want up your nose.
Ah, I was close.
Good job. That was pretty good.
I went with ass first just because that's where my natural direction erection wants to go.
Yeah. All right, you ready for number 2?
Yeah.
I will. All right, close your eyes here. So
I
think that first one was pretty good. So
a notebook.
I mean, that's what I said. It was kind of tough, but all right, you can look. All right. All right. So I'm gonna give you very generic. It's gonna be very generic right away,
Okay.
and then the second one might give you a little hint. This one's probably easier than the first one. I'm gonna go with snacks.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking things you want on like a deserted island, or what you want on like things you want on a stay-at-home day.
Okay.
Because I feel like those are very similar things anyway.
Okay.
Like what people do when they have a full day off versus so you brought snacks.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be like that could be like things you bring to events.
Sure. Sure. See, this is why I think when I say this, I'll say the second thing for last.
I'll go with. Dude, this is tough.
Yeah.
Because
it's so
easy. Yeah.
It's very basic.
Well, since you said snacks, I'll just say drinks.
Okay. Okay, that's good. This is where I think you'll get it. This is where I think you'll get it because I didn't think this one through. The first one I thought through more.
Okay.
I'm gonna take gasoline.
Gasoline. So this is like things in an emergency kit, I think.
Okay.
So maybe like a winter shelter kit.
Okay.
That's what it feels like.
Right.
I'm gonna go with. So you said gasoline and snacks.
Yeah.
Maybe things you take camping.
Okay.
Gasoline and snacks. I said drinks, blankets.
Okay. Maybe. That's some. So all right. I'm gonna take
things you find at gas stations.
I'm gonna take been sitting out for 3 hours too long breakfast burritos.
Yeah, things you find at gas stations. I'll go with the thing that I have to like get all the time, which is porn magazines. No, sunglasses.
Sure. Things out of gas station.
Okay. Yeah, the first one I'm glad. Like I feel like it took me a couple steps, but I got there.
Sure.
Definitely was things up your ass. And then the second one, when you said gasoline, like the obvious thing I think is gas station. And people that like saw a gas station were probably like, how did he not get gas at a gas
what
station?
an idiot.
But like those are emergency kits, things you take camping, that all fits too. Okay.
Right.
I'm telling you, this side of it just I feel like such an idiot. Even though I like was able to get there, I still felt stupid.
Yeah, the things up your nose is the tough part.
That's the tough part. Nice. That was good.
Nice.
I enjoyed that. More games. We want more games. I've been trying to think of more games that we could play for this.
Sure.
Without directly stealing from other people.
Right.
But I watched another YouTube channel that had clearly stolen their model from Hot Ones, and it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just completely, and they're doing really well. But I like 4 episodes ago, I was like, they're trying to work their way up to get actual like full on celebrities in here to do this, and they got Tom Hanks today.
Nice.
And I was like, yep, taking the old Hot Ones method.
Yeah. Eventually, it will. You'll get there.
Highly produced. You get a one-on-one interview with a celebrity in a comfortable environment where the celebrity has to like answer questions they wouldn't normally answer over food.
Right.
And except that the guy interviewing them is a chef, that he doesn't make all the food. Normally he does for the channel, but for this, he's the interviewer.
Sure.
And so he gets to talk about the food and interview the celebrity. And I was like, this is totally just like they started with interviewing people from their own channel, like interviewing the production team like of their last meal and they like guests that came on. And then they moved on up. They got Josh Peck.
Okay.
And then they did Call Me Chris, the TikTok / YouTube short / online personality. Yeah. She didn't call herself a celebrity, so she says she wouldn't call herself one, so I won't. And then Tom Hanks was today.
Nice.
And I was like, I was waiting for them to just come in with just pure A-list, and
Right.
Can't really get much more A-list than Tim Honks.
Right.
There was
That's a
a couple
lovely name,
times
Tim
during
Honks.
there's a couple times during the interview where I was like, I would have played with him there because Tom Hanks mentioned that Tom Cruise is a legend, and Tom Cruise gives him this white chocolate coconut cake, which he's not the only celebrity I've heard bring this up before. So Tom Cruise does this for other people, but gives all of his friends a white chocolate coconut cake for Christmas every year. And he was giving shout out to Tom. He's like, Tom, you're a legend. And Josh, while interviewing, I thought would have been a perfect time for him to go, oh my gosh, he is my second favorite Tom. And then have Tom be like, oh, come on. And be like, what? Do you like Tom Brady too?
Right.
Like
or Tom Holland or something like
right,
that.
or Tom Holland. Yeah. And be like, yeah. And then tell him something like that. Like, oh no, you thought I meant you. No, you are fifth. It's Tom Brady, Tom Cruise, Tom Holland, Tom Bergeron, and then you.
Tom from MySpace.
Right. See, I think that would have been like where I would have stopped at the Tom Brady thing. Like, oh yeah, he's my second favorite Tom behind Tom Brady.
Right.
But yeah, there was a couple moments like that where I was like, I feel like he's mentioned he's uncomfortable interviewing.
Sure.
And I feel like there's a couple things once he gets into it. That's what I want to see. I want to see the interviewer have fun, not just sit there and listen and hope the celebrity comes up with some content.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Sure.
Anyway, we're talking Vikings now. That was a fun game. We definitely want more games. I just don't want to steal from people.
Right.
Vikings lost, one and done. Not surprised. We both thought they would win, but to think that this team could go out there and lose, and to think that the Giants couldn't go out there and win. I think Brian Daboll's coach of the year. I thought Brian, even when before this game, I thought Brian Daboll was coach of the year. I thought the way he turned
the only thing that
Jones around and the team around.
The only thing that bugs me is the last 10 games they were 3-6-1, and they beat the Texans, Colts, and Commanders.
Yeah, true.
That's very not any other team who did that, you'd be like, they're not good.
I think KOC.
You also mentioned Shanahan. What Shanahan's done with
Shanahan's problem is that he's already considered a great coach, and coach of the year tends not to go to the best coaches.
Sure.
It'll go to the best coach occasionally here and there,
right.
But it's almost always the coach that turned a bad team around.
Sure.
Sometimes that's the best coach, but he didn't turn around a bad San Francisco. He just kept being a really good coach.
He just finally got their best quarterback to play. So.
Dude, yeah, it's so crazy to see him, but he's got the energy, team behind him. Sometimes he's Joe Burrow was the same way. Nobody thought he was great, and then once he finally got everybody to root for him, and he just adopted that mentality of I'm the best.
Sure.
When you get the team around, sometimes the Eagles, Nick Foles harnessed it for a year. We'll see if Brock Purdy can do longer than a year, but right now he's got that BDE that Nick Foles was able to get, that Joe Burrow just carries with him all the time.
Sure.
We're assuming that's for just because it's true.
Right. We'd have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, Joe, if you just got to let it go. Justin Verlander, that thing. Nothing. I was hoping you'd chuckle or something. Anyway, Vikings did they never really felt in control anyway. Didn't really feel like there was ever a point
where... We made them punt twice.
Yeah.
In 4 quarters, and as well as having an 11-minute and 52-second drive with 20 plays.
Yeah.
So you could talk about the Kirk Cousins pass at the end of the game all you want, but giving up 430 yards to the New York Giants, you're not going to win like that. The 31st ranked defense, 31st ranked defense
again,
definitely showed itself. So showed its true colors.
And this is what I wanted to bring up to people, because that Donatel did get fired.
He did, yeah, as of 2 hours ago on 1/19/2023.
Yeah. So a lot of people are going to be saying everything's going to get fixed because that Donatel's gone and they're going to bring in somebody that knows what they're doing. But the Vikings last year were 31st, and I think before that they were 29th.
Yeah, yeah.
And then before that, it was like, oh, they had one good year. And then before that, it was like 31 again.
Yeah.
So this defense, I think a lot of people just kind of got sold on some big names. The fact that Mike Zimmer is supposed to be good on defense, and Mike Zimmer did turn out at first to be
the
somebody
double
that could,
A gap was
and every corner
conceptually amazing.
became a starter. They never had like a corner that you were worried about. Can he keep up with the number 2?
Right.
Like when they might like Xavier Rhodes was considered
as the top 3 corner in the league at one point. Yeah.
Probably by Vikings fans, by most other fans, would top 10, I think would be fair.
Sure. Yeah.
But like especially Vikings fans probably would consider Rhodes up there. I don't know. He just turned Trey Waynes. I feel like his best years were in Minnesota with Zimmer.
He was good enough at some point.
And when he left the Bengals, they initially got way worse on defense.
Right.
So it's like, I think a lot of people were sold on like, oh, Vikings just have this great defense. And the Vikings have historically had good defenses.
Right.
But this defense has not been good for a long time. They have good players. They have guys that are really good studs even. Like Harrison Smith is, in my opinion, one of the best safeties I've ever seen.
Right.
I'm biased. I'll admit that bias.
I mean, he's a top 2 safety in Vikings history. So
right. He's a top 2 safety in Vikings history. And he at one point was in the same league as Eric Weddle and Tyrann Mathieu and was considered the best safety in the league.
Right. Right.
I just think it's pretty crazy. He plays with all these greats and he's just consistently amazing. Anyway, we have good players, but overall the defense has been terrible for a while. This isn't anything new. They've been
the offense isn't perfect either.
The offense isn't perfect. The offense is easy.
Offense is way better shape. You're right. They're in way better shape.
As long as you work on offensive line, if you have a good offensive line and an above average quarterback, everything else on offense is easy.
Right.
Wide receivers and running backs are coming into this league and within 1 to 2 years are studs.
Mm-hmm.
Tight ends are coming in. Tight ends were never good year 1, and they've had multiple tight ends in the last 5 years come in year 1 and year 2 and blowing up.
Right.
So it's offense is just, I think people are accepting it's an easier fix. And so now with the Vikings only having 4 draft picks and a lot of cap room to have to try to solve, I think we're going to lose a lot of those guys and people are going to be upset about it. And I'm like, how can you get rid of this guy? How can you get rid of this guy? They're going to bring in a whole bunch of new faces. People are going to say it's not going to work because it's too many new people. It's too many new people in all the new system. But all those new faces are going to most likely improve at every spot.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
a couple
you
downgrade.
Can't get worse. You can't get worse than 31st ranked defense.
Exactly.
You
so
can.
Every person you can get one.
You
worse.
can, but like the odds of that happening, you're not going to get any worse. So you might as well try.
And their first and second round picks from last year didn't play.
Right.
So you're basically getting a couple guys who are supposed to be good.
And Ingram did.
Okay, their first and third then.
Booth was also a second.
Right. So Booth and Seen are coming back. Hopefully they develop.
Right.
Other than that, you can you get rid of Eric Kendricks. I think is one of the most criminally underrated players in the league, but he part of a team that took 31st in team.
Yeah, he also got exposed in the Giants game. He couldn't keep up with anyone, and it was very evident. So
he's a run-stopping linebacker being put in a defense that's supposed to be for pass defending linebackers, and he used to be a tremendous pass defender in a system where he was only asked to cover the flat and blitz up the middle, not a system where he's supposed to be covering the middle of the field and deep outs.
Right.
It's just, that's not what he's meant to do. Same with Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter, unless this new defensive coordinator thinks that they can make Danielle be some hybrid defensive end linebacker that actually works, Danielle Hunter's another one of those guys that's probably going to go on. And crazy enough, the guy replacing him is probably going to be an improvement.
Right.
Because it's a guy they want in this system. I just think I think, yes, Ed Donatel probably wasn't a great coach because you don't get to 31st or whatever.
Right.
Without being a bad coach.
And he didn't, I don't think he's a bad coach. I also think that there was a lot of personnel issues with how he wanted to build the team and what he had at his management, I guess. But also
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
There also is a point where when you're getting just demolished the entire season outside of like the Green Bay game. Because the Green Bay game we were like a top 10 defense, we were top 5 offense, like versus Green
After
Bay.
the first 6 games, we had the sack leader.
Yeah. So, but then like teams figured that out, and you didn't change at all.
Yep.
So at some point, it's like, do anything different, and that's
Yeah.
what I think a lot of Vikings fans were asking for, and we just didn't get. So
the way KOC phrased it was that he believes he and Ed built the vision for the defense that they were trying to give with what they had. So
Right.
basically saying this was the system they wanted, and they thought this is what was going to work. So it sounds like they think an entire personnel change probably will help. I think
they're putting square pegs in round holes is what
right, and that statement made me think he was going to keep Donatel, and they were just going to try his system again with a bunch of new players. But I think fan reaction and media reaction, he was going to be gone, whether KOC wanted to keep him or not.
Sure.
And I don't think Kwesi Adofo-Mensah likes to be on camera, and because of the way like the team ended and how bad like Donatel was kind of exposed or whatever, and defense had been bad all year, he was interviewed, and I don't think he wanted to be interviewed. So I think he just made a decision that keeps him out of the camera and keeps everything more on like KOC. I think KOC is probably going to win Coach of the Year. I think the Vikings have a huge changes to make. The big thing people want to talk about is Kirk Cousins. I think they'll let Kirk Cousins play out this 1 year and see how it goes before re-signing him. I don't think they'll re-sign him this offseason like they did last offseason, give a 1 year extension, 2 years in advance. I don't think they're going to do that this year. And then I think they're going to have to deal with Kirk heading into free agency, and we'll find out at that point if he's going to be the permanent guy. I think Kirk Cousins is the type of quarterback that you need a perfect situation around him. So as long as you have a bottom 15 defense, it's not a Super Bowl winning team.
Right.
I thought the offense, for how good everybody seems to be, wasn't.
Kirk was under the most pressure out of any quarterback this year, and also hit the most amount of times.
Right, and there's always so he needs
interior
offensive line. Like he has to have good offensive line, good weapons, a run game, and a good defense if you want to win the Super Bowl.
Which is like every team, right?
Well, unless you're Patrick Mahomes or
Joe Flacco,
like it's really like unless you're Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady in the past, even though Tom Brady has always had good teams anyway, so we can't really count him. Like Patrick Mahomes is the only person I've seen that has been able to overcome. Oh, Joe Burrow. Last year they had like a bottom 20 defense and a bottom 10 offensive line. Or they were like ranked in the 20s.
He was hit the most last year. So.
Right, and they almost won the Super Bowl. They should have won it, and they gave it away.
Right.
So like unless you have a top 2 quarterback, which only 2 teams get to have.
Right.
Most other quarterbacks need that perfect system around him, and Kirk just happens to fit into that group.
Right.
So you have to fix the other stuff first. I say fix the other stuff first. Let Kirk play it out. Don't worry about Kirk right now. I think the hard point is saying goodbye to Adam Thielen. We saw it on Instagram. His wife.
We're in a weird situation where we're not gonna want to spend a first round pick on a quarterback. So you're going to have to get a quarterback that is either later, probably most likely later in the draft, and is going to be more raw than an early round quarterback.
I think they'll have a vet or one of their current backups. I don't think they're drafting with only 4 draft picks.
Right. But I mean, like in the future, you're going to have to draft a quarterback probably in the later rounds, and you're going to want them to sit behind Kirk for a year or 2 or whatever you think they need. With only 4 draft picks. Granted, we should probably get a good amount of compensatories this year. But
yeah, they don't have much capital, and they don't have a lot of picks, but they don't have a lot of money. But what they do have is a lot of players that people will want that will free up money.
Right.
I think Vikings next year's gonna be rough. I don't think the Vikings are gonna be a very good team next year. I think they're gonna.
I think they're going to be kind of in the same place. I think their offense is going to be good. Their offense is probably going to be top half of the league, and their defense is probably going to be bottom half of the league. So,
and so I think they're a couple years out. They're either a couple years out or a major free agent and awesome development from young guys from being true contenders.
Right.
It's the NFL, so anybody can win on any given Sunday. So you can't genuinely say that they can't win a Super Bowl next year. But I think they're a couple years out, which this is the year they unload the names that are hard to get rid of, that nobody wants to get rid of.
Right. Thielen, Kendricks, maybe Harrison Smith, maybe Dalvin Cook. Like those are the four big ones. Every time something
goes wrong next year, you're going to hear those names talked about. We win that game with Dalvin. We win that game with Harry. We win that game with Daniil.
That's Vikings fans.
That's Vikings fans. So that's all you're gonna hear all years. We win that game if we kept this guy. We win that game if we kept Thielen.
Just like
makes that catch.
Just like the New York Giants game. Like everyone was like, "What a horrible pass, Kirk Cousins, 4th down." And it's like the 430 yards the defense gave up. Like, you're not going to talk about that. Like, no. Granted, it was a bad pass, but also there was a guy right here.
The over 400 yards of offense that this defense gave up 10 games.
Yeah.
Over 400 yards of offense in 10 games. It might have been 11 games if you include the playoff game.
Right. So.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what your offense does. Like, unless you have a elite quarterback, like the true elite, like Trevor Lawrence is. People are making comments like he's there already. He's not there already, but if he reaches potential, we would have 3 quarterbacks, which is about what we normally have throughout the history of the NFL. Is there's those 3 transcending. It was always like Breeze, Peyton, Brady, and then Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, and I know you and me are pretty similar in this. There's Mahomes, then there's a gap, and then there's probably like the Josh Allen, Joe Burrow.
I would put Burrow second.
Yeah, just in that little
most people put Josh Allen there, yeah.
Right. And then I think Trevor Lawrence is probably working his way towards that little window, but
I think people are basing it off potential. And yes, he looks like I love Trevor Lawrence. So yes, I think I would just put him there. I would just put him in that, but I don't, if I'm being honest, he's in that.
The next tier?
That next tier with Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. Like, it Mike sounds White. Crazy to some people to hear these people's names put together, but you have that elite.
That's what we got. We have our taste.
And then basically the rest of the league.
Everyone puts Mahomes and Allen in that same category. We don't here at the Glaziar Gambol podcast. So
Mahomes is his own.
Right.
Mahomes is like you don't get Mahomes. Like nobody is Mahomes. Josh Allen can do whatever he wants. He's not Mahomes until when you have the combined most turnovers in the league. Right. Like, if crazy hot take with only a minute left here, if you take away the name and you take away the run game, the run aspect is where Josh Allen becomes Josh Allen. You take away his run game, he is Jameis Winston.
Okay.
If you take away Josh Allen's run game, he's Jameis Winston. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
5,000 yards,
5,000 yards and a bunch of TDs.
Right.
You take away his run game, and Josh Allen is Jameis Winston. So thank you for watching the Glaziar Gambol podcast. See you next week. Can't wait to hear if this gets to Buffalo fans.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, thank you. I thought about that yesterday in the car.
Yeah. No. I don't think Josh Allen's bad.
Me neither. I think he's a great quarterback.
But yeah, that Jameis Winston 5,000 30-30 season, like that's sure.
You all look great today.
GG.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you.